My name is John Leonard, and I've been here with Valencia for a year and a half. Prior to working here at Valencia as a security officer, I was a police officer and a sergeant in the New York City Police Department for 22 years. Living up in New York, I was a volunteer firefighter, and I had 30 years of service as a certified New York State firefighter. I have many stories over my career, but the one with the most impact that I would like to share today is on 9/11. I was assigned to the Narcotics Division. I was responsible for a team of 8 detectives. I had control over all the operations that we did. We had set out to go to breakfast, myself and my team, to the local diner before ending our shift. And as we walked into the diner, the waitress had said to us that a plane had struck the towers. We said, "Well, what kind of knucklehead could hit the Twin Towers? I mean, they're massive buildings." So we kind of joked about it, and then we went to sit down. My phone rang, and it was my lieutenant, and he said to me, "You need to get back to the office with your team. We're being mobilized. We're going downtown." At that point, I started to think that there's something a little more serious going on. At first, I had thought maybe somebody in a small little twin-engine plane. Maybe he was suicidal and he flew into the tower. By the time I got back to the office, my lieutenant told me, we had to get in uniform, and I remember I was in the locker and I was changing. After I changed, I called my wife, and my wife was hysterical, and she's telling me, "Don't go. I don't want you to go. It's really bad. I don't want nothing to happen to you." I said, "Honey," "I'm sorry." I said, "This is my job. This is what I've been trained to do. I need to go. I need to be there." I hung up with her, and then we were briefed right before we left to go downtown. Our captain pulled, it was about 100 of us, into a large room. He went on to explain to us that although we were very experienced officers, that we would see things that we never saw before. We would see mass casualties. We would see brother or sister officers that might have perished. Right after that, somebody comes running in the room, said a second plane hit the other tower, and we were like, wow, this is really crazy. We headed out. We were stationed in the Bronx, and we had to head into lower Manhattan. And I remember as we're driving down the Bruckner Expressway, I could see the towers because they were so big, and I could see both of them fully in smoke coming from both of them, really bad. The radio was crazy. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of yelling and screaming for calls for assistance. And I remember seeing the first tower come down, and my whole body just kind of went numb, and I was like, and all I thought about was everybody that might have still been in that building. And we continued down to lower Manhattan. Well, we got about 20 blocks away, and they formed us up, and it was like something out of a movie. We had men and women in suits and dresses that were going to work that morning, walking. Now they were about 20 blocks from where the towers had come down, and they're walking rather quickly, but they are covered in white soot all over them, and it was almost like out of, like I said, a movie, like zombies. They were like in a trance. We hear another large rumble. I mean, it was extremely loud, and what it was the second tower coming down. At that point, we're like, we don't know what to think. So we end up driving right into where the towers were. We got out of our cars, and we formed up, and I was given the responsibility of search and rescue in all the outlying buildings right across the street from the towers. What I was responsible for was to take my team, go into buildings and make sure there wasn't people that might have gotten stranded. God forbid anybody might have had a heart attack. We had to clear each floor in every building and make sure that nobody was left behind. It was almost like something prehistoric had taken chunks out of the front of the buildings, and they were just gone. I started to walk into one building with my team, and I had to make a decision for my safety and for their safety and for our lives, whether to go into this building or not. And I chose not to, and as I reflect back, I'm grateful I didn't, because that building, about an hour later, partially came down. The area was like, it's hard to say in Florida, but in New York, it was like a severe snowstorm. You couldn't see in front of you. What they had was they had nurses and doctors that responded from hospitals, or if they heard it on the radio, were just coming into work, that came down, and they actually had eye washes they were washing our eyes out, because we couldn't see anymore. Our eyes were getting so closed up that they would clear our eyes, and so we can continue doing what we had to do. I was down there until about 2 o'clock in the morning, going through all the buildings and finding pieces of the plane and pieces of human beings. We were out there 16 to 18 hours, and I remember they assembled us in front of City Hall, and they gave us these MREs, I believe they're military meals, and it was like eating a steak sandwich. We were so hungry, they were so good. Something else I just remembered was the fighter jets. The fighter jets would come over, and they would make a rumble, like you thought another plane was going to hit another building in the area. That's how loud these fighter jets were, and the ground itself was so unstable that when you were in the buildings, you could actually feel the ground shaking. So a couple of times you would be scared that you're in a building that's now it's going to come down. There was many times when we had to run from debris that might have fallen off a building. When we felt we were threatened by anything, we in groups of officers just running down the street, just trying to get away. I want to say that my mindset was to accomplish all the things that I was trained to do, and to save and help as many people as I could to safely get away from all the danger that was going on around down there. It didn't really hit me until I got home. When I got home, I collapsed. I collapsed right in front of my wife, and I cried. I cried like, I'm a police officer. I've seen that. I've seen this. I've seen that. I cried like crazy, because I felt bad for knowing that there was so many people that lost loved ones. That it was a hard thing to take. I lost a couple of friends that, as I stated earlier, I was a volunteer firefighter, and they were firemen, but they were volunteer firefighters also. They loved firefighting, and I lost a couple of friends in the towers. A couple of days after that, as we were coming down it was search and rescue, and then it ended up becoming a recovery mission. It felt good because people were there and they were cheering us on. As we came down, they were cheering us on because they knew that we were coming there to help. This is something that I've never ever expressed. This is something I've kept in all these years, and it just feels a little different just getting it out. That's basically my story. There was no takeout for me. It was run. I did have several occasions when I was down at the site where we did have to run. It wasn't just let's just run away from this. This was run for your life. As I said, it was fighter jets going over. The ground was still unstable. There were times when you felt that you had to run from and run as fast as you can and get as far away from where you were standing as possible. There was a lot of figuring out. For me personally, I had said that I was responsible for a team of 8 detectives for their safety, for mine, and I had to figure out if certain buildings were too dangerous to explore, and our lives depended on it. The campus that I work at, I try to get to know the environment that I'm in, and not just know how to get to the first, second, or third floor, but in each part of the building, what would my escape route be? How would I get out of here if I was, say, on the 3rd floor and I heard something happening on the first, or if I'm on the second. Where, you know, I always play it in my mind, the scenario, what if this was to happen? And I feel that for me personally, it will help. God forbid there is an incident, it will help me, and it will help me to help others that are out there that might be very uncomfortable with what's going on.